Thank you so much for being here for Conversations with Writers.
It's so nice of you to invite me. I'm so happy to be here.
Tell me, when did you figure out you wanted to be an author, and what was the process of getting your first novel out like?
I think I probably always wanted to be a writer, only in so much as that readers are my superheroes, but I never thought for even a minute that I would be able to do it. And I entered a contest, and when I won second place, it opened up the idea that maybe I could do it. And it also taught me that, for my purposes, I had to picture something and write about it. Whereas before I thought you just had to have a whole idea and you just wrote about it. And so then I started to teach myself how to write a book. And that's what I did with my first book. I spent, I went to conferences like people do, and I read and I wrote and I entered other contests and I learned how to pitch and I learned the business. And so probably at the first the contest was in 2004. I think I sold my book in 2009. Maybe I got my agent, I'm not sure when, before that. So it was the typical kind of thing, like, oh, maybe I can write a book, and then you have to figure out all of the things. So
isn't that fun?
It wasn't tidy. I can say it was not a tidy experience.
I think for most people it is not.
No, it was not a tidy experience.
You founded the Tall Poppy Writers, which connects women writers with women readers. Can you tell me how that organization achieves this incredible goal?
Well, we do it by collaborating and lifting each other up. I mean, that's the really short answer of it. Everybody that's in there knows why they're in there, and they're in there to help each other and also to help their careers. But they are very generous people that understand that this is not a competition, nor is it a zero-sum game, that people can have a book out in October and then a book out in September, and we're not competing. And so these people really understand that, and I knew that if I didn't create something like that, I was not going to be able to sell books on my own. And I also know that I don't like to I don't like to ask people to buy my book. I hate that. And so the poppies do that job, and then I'd have to do it less.
How do the poppies do it?
We do it on social media. We do it in our Bloom, our readers group. We do it through the newsletters and at conferences like this. And so everybody kind of talks about each other. And we work really hard to talk about the Tall Poppies, so people will look us up on the website, find the authors, and then we just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. We started in 2011, 2012.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It honestly, it's really beautiful. And I don't think I'm overstepping by saying that I think we changed the industry, because I think in 2009, 10, 11, people were still siloed and feeling as though they were competing with each other. And I think we were the first group, besides the Romance Writers of America and some of the crime sisters in crime who are doing that, but I think we were the first group with diverse authors in diverse genres doing it. I think everybody else has sort of stuck in their space, but I sort of believe that everybody reads all kinds of things, and so it seemed like a bad idea to just make it one group. And so I think we changed I really do feel like we changed the zeitgeist about that.
I think so. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I hope we did.
You did. This September, you published Bummer Camp.
I did.
Can you give us the elevator pitch for the book and tell us what are some of your favorite reactions from readers so far?
Okay. So Bummer Camp is the story of a failed motivational coach who decides to open a camp for anxious and depressed adults, but is bad at everything, and so hires only anxious and depressed college students to run it. He leaves with all the money and all the supplies after inviting an enormous amount of publicity and people with money to come and save the camp. And so everyone on the camp has to pull together, put their anxieties away, and run a gala with only the things they had at camp. So it came out on September 1st, and we brought people to the camp, and we had a big launch with 60 women from 10 states, and it was the best thing to be able to put people into your book, and it was so much fun because the camp does the magic, and in the book, the camp does the magic, but when I say camp, I say the outside, but also a closed group of like-minded people. And so whenever you're in a closed group of like-minded people, the rules are just set up there, and everyone feels as though they're all part of the sort of equilibrium and keeping it going. And I loved that. That is what I tried to put out when I wrote the book, and when we had everybody at camp, that's how everybody felt. It was amazing, like so much better than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So yeah, and people seem to like it. I think, for the most part, I'm really happy with the response from people. You know, I always say, if you don't like me, you're not going to like the book, and so some people don't like me. So
I think that goes for all of us.
Yes, I think it goes for all of us, yeah.
So one of the things I loved the most about Boomer Camp was the relationship between your protagonist, Kat, and her sister, Ginger. Kat is the very responsible older sister, and Ginger is like the flighty artist. And that has eventually brought them apart, created enough conflict that at the beginning of the book, they haven't been in each other's lives much for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time.
And the book is a process of thinking about how we're going to bring them together. So I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with these two sisters, and how did you go about getting this beautiful chemistry and journey on the page?
So I don't have sisters, but I do have two daughters. And they are different, but not different in the way that these two are different in the book. But I'm different from a lot of people that I try to collaborate with, and I have brothers, and I know how much you can love someone and have them drive you crazy. And also want to push away from them, and then have that feel so acutely hard. And then if you put them into a space that they grew up in their childhood, all of this nostalgia and all of the sort of trauma, an overused word I think, but of that space gets heightened, everything. And so it was really fun to write all of the kinds of things that make relationships hard, but also make them worthy and fighting for. So, you know, sister tropes, they're tropes for a reason, because we all sort of experience those kinds of things. So that part, you know, that wasn't that hard, but trying to figure out a way that didn't sound like they hated each other, that they actually loved each other, but maybe they couldn't be in the same space. That was the hardest part, I think. And sometimes I think I did it, and then sometimes I think I could have done it better. But of course, that's always the way it is when you write a book.
I thought you pulled it off.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I believed their separation, but I also believed that these were two women who loved each other.
Yeah, they did. They loved each other, you know. And also, even they drive you crazy. Yeah. I have friends that I love so much that drive me crazy, right? But we love them.
That's right. What do you enjoy the most about being a writer, and what do you hope readers get out of your books?
There's two things I enjoy the most. When I'm writing, and I'm deep in the middle of writing a scene, I am in a place of flow that I almost never am in any other way. My mind is always going a mile a minute, but when I am focused on writing something and trying to get it right, everything else fades away, which I love. It's so much fun to be able to be there. And the second thing I love so much about being a writer is being able to hang around with my superheroes at conferences and talk about story all the time, and talk about, it's really a psychology, and I was a psychologist on some level, a research psychologist, but I can't stop thinking about what makes people tick, and I love that so much about being a writer. It's like, it just feeds me, right? And then what was the other question? I forgot.
The two-part questions.
Yeah.
They'll get you every time.
Yeah.
What are you hoping?
That people feel about the book.
Yeah, what they get out of your book.
Yeah, I hope that when people read my books, they feel better about being their odd little human selves. I really want people to see themselves in the flaws of humanity and be okay with it. I want people to laugh at themselves. I want them to feel deeply about their insecurities and their loves, but also understand that that's a human experience and that it's all okay. We are polishing us up on social media in a way that misallows any mistakes. And if you ever read any comments on some of these things, someone's always annoyed at the person who is just like brushing their hair, right? There's always somebody annoyed. You're doing it wrong. And then people feel shame. I don't want anyone feeling shame about being a messy human. I'm a messy human. And sometimes I feel a little shame, but I've kind of gotten past that, and some of it is because I've written about that so much. And I just think that's the human condition, and that's what I want people to feel when they're reading these.
I think we're all, that's it. I mean, we're all messy humans,
We're
right?
messy.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. It's the only thing that makes us interesting.
This is true.
It's so interesting. Like, the messiest humans are the one that you want to watch in the airport. I don't want to watch somebody that, they're like, why are they wearing that? Like, I love that. Yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah.
If our viewers want to find out more about you or your fiction, where can they find you?
My books are wherever books are sold. You can find me on Instagram. I have a website where I write one original essay a month and send it out to my subscribers with book recommendations and where I'm going to be teaching and things like that. So signing up for my newsletter, you don't get barraged. It's once a month if I can get my act together. And I like Instagram best, but I'm also on Twitter and Threads. But, you know, if you really want to see who I am, I think probably Instagram and Facebook are the place to be.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.